My name is Zinklea Samoa. I'm so glad we can speak. I think I actually spoke with you a few years back, so I'm glad we can talk again.
You did. I remember, I think we spoke after the investigation of the clergy abuse, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah, you came in for an op-ed, so I'm glad we can talk again. And I'd love to just jump right into it. What specifically is your message to the Trump administration, given their continued efforts to suppress the vote in this 2020 election cycle in Pennsylvania?
Let us vote, right? The president has sued us multiple times in Pennsylvania, trying to make it harder for people to vote, trying to make it easier to intimidate voters in our Black and brown communities. There have been 6 different lawsuits. He's 0-6, we're 6-0 to defend legal eligible voters here in Pennsylvania. And so it's my job as the AG to make sure that all votes are secured, protected, and counted.
And of course, Pennsylvania has been in the spotlight. What is your reaction to the Supreme Court ruling that it will not decide, at least not yet, to reverse the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision ensuring that absentee ballots mailed before Election Day but arriving after the election will be counted? What's your reaction to that SCOTUS decision?
Well, look, I'm pleased that the Supreme Court of the United States honored something known as the Purcell Principle, which sounds sort of legally and nerdy, but it's really, really important. And what it says is that matters of state election law should be left to the states. And in this case, our state Supreme Court, which is the highest court in our state, said that ballots that are postmarked by Election Day and received up until Friday after the election can count and should be counted. And so we're glad that the Supreme Court of the United States did not step in and interfere with that.
Do you consider this a win or a threat to voting rights? Because I have heard mixed reactions given that the Supreme Court said, for now, this is our decision. It's not necessarily a permanent one.
Well, 3 justices wrote that there may be more forthcoming. Obviously, it takes 5 justices to do anything. I think at the end of the day, we need to have an election here in Pennsylvania. We have the rules that have been set. They've been interpreted by the highest court in our state and affirmed. And people are now relying on those rules of the game to cast their ballots. We need to honor those rules and let people vote and then count all legal eligible votes.
What could this practically mean after November 3rd if they change their stance?
Well, obviously, no one knows what the United States Supreme Court will do. But what was clear is that they did not grant what's known as cert, meaning they did not agree to take up the case in an expedited manner. That's a good thing for the people of Pennsylvania. They now know the rules. They can act under those rules and get their ballots in under those rules. As to what may come in the future, I can't predict what the Supreme Court will do, but I have every bit of confidence that our state is prepared, both in the run up to the election, the day of, and in counting the ballots right after.
I think there's been lots of talk about a potential legal fight following the election. What do you expect as Attorney General?
We've been engaged in a legal fight for months, and we've won every single time that the president and his enablers have sued us here in Pennsylvania. And we've won to protect people's right to vote. Listen, 100 years ago, women couldn't vote in this country. Before that, blacks couldn't vote in this country. We have fought so hard. My ancestors, their ancestors' ancestors, all of us have fought so hard over generations to make sure that everyone counts in this country and everybody gets a vote. And while we obviously have a lot more work to do to perfect our union on so many issues, criminal justice reform, education issues, all kinds of things, we can all at least agree that we've made great gains to ensure that everyone's voice gets to count in our democracy. And I sure as hell won't let the president of the United States try and take away that right from someone. Here in Pennsylvania, if you're an eligible voter, your vote is going to be counted.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point to emphasize. I do think I would be a little remiss not to mention, of course, we've seen the death of Walter Wallace Jr. Do you have any reaction to that? What's your message?
Look, Walter Wallace Jr.'s life mattered. And this is another tragedy in our community here in Philadelphia. There are lots of questions, and those questions need to be answered and need to be answered quickly for the sake of the Wallace family and the sake of the community and the sake of law enforcement. I think it's important to note that my agency is not the investigating authority here. It's the local district attorney and the local police. So I'm not going to get ahead of their investigation. But suffice to say, there's a lot of questions and they need to be answered.
Thank you so much.